Well, hello again, everybody. This is Dave Strong from Schmitt Music. And so far, we have talked about how to hold your saxophone, how to put it together, how to put the reed onto the mouthpiece, and how to get your first sound. And now we're going to actually start in on your book. And so the book is Essential Elements, and all the stuff we talked about are the first few pages. Now, that's stuff that's going to take a little getting used to, and so we'll review it as we go along. It's going to feel weird before it feels normal. Anything new, like when you put on a new pair of shoes, they feel weird for a day or two. And then the more you do it, the more it just feels pretty normal. So that's kind of how blowing through the instrument, what we call your embouchure, is going to feel. Putting it together is going to be a little slow at first, but pretty soon you'll be able to do it in your sleep. And where to put your hands at first might feel a little awkward, but you'll get used to it and it'll feel super comfortable in no time. So in Essential Elements, we're going to turn to page 4. Page 4 is where we actually first start playing. So we're going to learn our first real note. And the first note that we're going to learn is D. And you probably have talked about this with your teacher, but as you can see that little circle, that's a whole note. So that means we hold it for 4 counts. And it's very important in music to keep a very steady beat. We don't want it to be speeding up or slowing way down. We want it to be very steady, like your heartbeat. Nice, even pulse. So D is going to take quite a few of the fingers, and that's why we talked about where your hands go first. So with my left hand here, I'm going to put it on. If you remember, my left thumb goes on this little button on the back to support it. And then remember to skip this first one here, go on to the second one. And when I say the second one, I mean the ones with pearls. Skip the teeny tiny one there and go to the next normal sized one. And then right there. And remember, it's like we're holding a mug of hot coffee and we don't want to spill. So if you're doing this, it's going to be really hard to play and you're going to accidentally hit some other keys. It'd be like you're spilling the coffee out that way. Or if you're kind of doing this, you wouldn't hold a cup of coffee like that. So make a C with your hand, hold it pretty much horizontally, and right like that. And then for my right hand, I have a little hook on the back here. It might be metal, it might be plastic like this one. My thumb goes right into there. And then this hand is a little easier because we just have the 3 keys with pearls right there. And that's going to be your pointer finger, your middle finger, and your index finger. So a little review there. As also a point of review, we are going to make sure that when I have the neck strap on, that's too low. That's sitting below my head. I have to kind of do that and trace it. But I don't want it up here either where I'm having to... So we're going to quick change camera angle. So while I'm sitting on my proper position, you can see both of my hands, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we are back, and hopefully now you can see, yes, you can see both of my hands when I play, on my right hand and my left hand. And you'll notice that I'm sitting up very straight. I'm sitting at the edge of my chair. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do this. I want to kind of lean. You might see some sax players, especially tenor players, play off to the side. If that's more comfortable, that's okay, but I would highly suggest playing right down the middle. It's just, everything's centered, everything's even. If you play a tenor sax, it's just bigger, so it's less comfortable to play like this. So let's get started. So we're going to learn our middle D. Now this is going to use all the fingers that you knew already. So you're going to put down 1, 2, 3 in the left hand beside. It's pointer, middle, index. And then 1, 2, 3. Or pointer, middle, ring finger, sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All of those are going to be held down. And then on the back of your saxophone here, we're going to touch and push down the thumb key here. The one right next to that black button, sometimes it'll be metal, this little thing. And what I would suggest is we don't want to jump to it. We want to keep our thumb right on the black button here and just rock over to it. Just push it down without taking your thumb off the black button there. And so that'll take some getting used to, but that way you can do it really quickly. I don't want to lift up my thumb and put it on there. And that is our middle D. So I'm going to get centered again. Make sure my neck strap is at a good height. Sit in front of the chair, sitting up straight. And hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the octave key. And remember, you roll your bottom lip over your bottom teeth. Your top teeth go on the top of the mouthpiece. Taking a good amount of mouthpiece. And then breathe in deep. And we breathe deep down here. We breathe, fill our lungs as deeply as we can. We don't want to breathe. Hear how weak that sounds when I breathe into my chest? But when I breathe deep, big difference, and it's a lot more powerful. So taking a breath, and we're going to play D for 4 counts, and then we're going to rest for 4 counts, and we'll do that a couple times. So here is number 1, the first note. Rest, 2, 3. Rest, 2, 3, 4. And I like to say the rests, especially when you're just getting started, just to make sure you're keeping it steady. You want to make sure you're counting the whole time. So I play 2, 3, 4, rest, 2, 3, 4, play 2. And if you say it out loud, there's less chance that you'll cheat yourself and just kind of skip over it. It can be easy and impatient, but in music, the places that you don't play, the holes in the music where there's silence, are often just as important as the actual notes you're playing. So if you skimp on the rest, the song won't sound quite right. So that is number 1. We got through 1 exercise here. Great. So let's look at number 2. It's the same note, but now we're having quarter notes. And if you haven't learned that with your teacher yet, a quarter note, that little black circle with a stick sticking down, is 1 count. So we'll go ta, 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 rest, 2, 3, 4. Ta, 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 rest, 2, 3, 4. And so that right there, you see the little squiggly looking things, those are quarter rests. So that's saying that you rest for 1 beat. So it's 4 Ds and then 4 notes of rest. When we're doing this, remember tonguing, we want to tongue by going ta. And we want to touch the tip of your tongue to the tip of the reed. And we talked about that in an earlier video, but it's a good reminder, don't use the middle of your tongue or the back of your tongue, or at just the end. And all you have to do is you don't even have to stop blowing. You don't want to go ta, ta. You'll be blowing the whole time, ta, 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 ta. Because if I tongue and just give one little honk for each one, you're going to hear. It's not steady. Whereas if I keep blowing and just ta, 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 get a nice long connected tone. And so that's when it's written like that, that's how you want to play it. So let's do it. Let's do number 2. Count and play. 1, 2, ready? Rest, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. We got it. If you need to do it a couple times, it's really important to be able to tongue and have it feel smooth like that. If you're getting a really small sound and it's hard to get the notes out, maybe take a little more mouthpiece in. If it's really... You can maybe back off a little, but I always like to err on the side of a little too much mouthpiece because once you get to control that, you'll just get a bigger, fuller sound. All right, number 3, a new note. Now this one's a lot simpler on your fingers than the other one. This one is a C. It's your middle C, and that's just going to be your middle finger on your left hand, nothing else. And we don't push down the key on the back on this one. So that key that's called the octave key, we did push it down for the D, but when we moved to the C, we left up everything but your middle finger. Now because you're putting less keys down, you're going to have to balance it a little better. So I'm going to make sure my thumb hook on my left hand, I should be able to kind of hold it like this. Be careful, make sure your neck strap's on. I should have pretty good balance there. And then the other point of balance, you would think it would be my fingers, but it's actually where I'm holding it in my mouth. So once I put that in my mouth, it is perfectly steady, if you can understand what I'm saying. And so, yeah, then you can very lightly push the key down. We don't want to kind of have an iron grip on there. We want our fingers to be very light and agile on the keys, so when we start playing really fast, we have that light touch. So here we go, C. We're going to do 4 counts on and 4 counts of rest. Remember, just that middle finger. 1, 2, ready? Rest, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Great. So exact same exercise as number 1, but we're doing it with the C. And keeping with that theme, let's go to number 4. Now what you'll notice about this one is it has 2 different notes. So this is going to get you, this is going to have you do 4 counts of C, and then you'll have 4 beats of rest. And in that time, you'll want to move to that fingering of the D. So it'll work on switching between fingerings and having a little bit of time to do it at first. So here is number 4. 1, 2, ready. Rest, 2, switch to D. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Great. So yeah, if you need some practice with that one, it's really just about switching, and you're putting down all those fingers and the octave key on the back, and then when going back to C, we're lifting up everything except for that middle finger on this hand. All right, we are chugging along here. We're going to move to number 5, heading down, because we are headed down to another lower note. So now we're going to learn your B. Now your B, instead of having your middle finger down on your left hand, it's going to be your pointer finger. Still no octave key on the back. So the octave key is going to help us as we get higher. So when you're going lower, you can be pretty sure that you're not going to need that octave key on the back. The first note that needs that octave key is that D that you learned first. So let's play B for 4 counts and off for 4 counts. 1, 2, ready? Rest, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Great, we already have 3 notes down. And let's move on and finish up this page with number 6. Moving on up. So we're gonna work on changing notes, as you can see here, the first 2 measures. And when I say measure, those 4 counts, you see how there's a little line between them? That's what we'd call a measure. So it's 4 counts or 1 measure of those Bs. Then we have a few rests. So that means we rest for 3 counts on this one. And then we go B, B, C, C, D. So this one's a great practice of going from pointer finger to middle finger to all of the fingers we've used so far, and the octave key rocking over with the thumb. And really practice as you go from C to D. We're not, again, jumping with the thumb. We're just rocking it up and back, and that's the most comfortable way to do that. Here we go with number 6. 1, 2, ready, play. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. So yeah, that one might take a little more practice. Play it a few times, and don't be afraid to play it slower. If you really, and one of the things I would say, and it's great to get in this habit right at the beginning, is if something is difficult for you, just play it slow and perfect rather than rushing through and making mistakes. If you can play it perfect, then you've learned it perfectly, and then all you have to do is learn to play it a little faster. But if you start playing it wrong because you're doing it too quickly, our brain learns either way, so if you learn it wrong, it's going to be harder to learn it right later. Anyway, that is page 4 of Essential Elements for Alto Sax, and in the next video, we'll hit page 5. See you soon.